When you think about the shelf, which is the topic for our breakout today, the shelf itself, and if you think about it, the shelf hasn't changed in decades. We talk about it 4, 6, 8-foot sections, about a foot wide, right, more or less. The shelf itself hasn't changed in decades. Yet, if you think about terms like last moment, sort of that trigger point with the consumer, I tend to use the term the last consumer touch, if you will. Because if you think about, if your product's there, the consumer has a choice to take that product off the shelf. And if your product is not there, that choice no longer exists. So in a lot of ways, that shelf is literally, that last consumer touch point that we can control for in terms of driving growth. What's interesting over the last couple of years is the percentage of new private brand UPCs as a percentage of total new UPCs is 21%. So there's a little bit more new private brand UPCs coming into the market than actually branded replacements. So you can see that retailers are actually getting pretty aggressive in their introduction of items on the shelf. So we have more items, we have a churn of items, and we have the retailers saying, hey, I want to put my private brand on those shelves to compete against branded items as well.
About 10 years ago, we made a strategic decision to move away from private brands, which is still a significant portion of our business, but we moved over to really building our own brands and creating shareholder value that way. One of our key retail partners comes to us and tells us that they're going to be launching a private brand. And as the market leader, it impacts us significantly. We lost about 50% of our TDPs within this retailer. We lost a whole PPG, so one whole line of a size of products was gone. So initially, the first thing is replan. Start from scratch, figure out, there's this big hole. How are we going to pick that up? Who's going to do what? What parts of the business are going to have to change their strategies in order to make sure that we still hit our number? And then we need to figure out what are the questions we really want to answer. And the key thing we did there, which I thought was nice, was that there's a billion questions that come out, right? But the key thing that we wanted to say was, what are the answers that we're going to need in order to get that space back? We have a really close partnership with IRI. Kristen and her team do a great job of engaging us in conversations. We share our plans with them. We show them what we're doing and what questions we have to answer for our management. And because of that, as soon as we came up with this issue and we shared the questions with her and her team were able to just come back and say, okay, these are the options. This is what we can do. This is what we should do based on other experiences we have. These are the things that can help answer your questions and make sure you get back on shelf. That was priceless. And then as the data came back, we kept evolving those questions. So, one piece of data leads to another piece of data, which leads to another. So what your initial hypothesis was might not be what ended up happening at the end. But that was the key. We kept that iterative process going.